Meant a lot to her. She interned back in the day under Dan Rather, which was a cool honor for us and our community. You know, the whole thing. She was like legendary. That me bumping into her, you know, fortuitously is just like, I mean, she was like the one. She was the catch.
Chip Gaines and Joanna Gaines have long been viewed as one of America's most beloved couples. With hit television shows, a thriving business empire, and a home filled with children, they seem to represent the dream many families hope to build. Fans admired their humor, teamwork, and the warm family image they shared with the world. But behind the smiles and carefully edited moments was a story that few people fully understood. For years, the Gaines family kept many of their most personal struggles private. While the public celebrated their success, there were seasons of worry, painful decisions, and emotional challenges happening quietly behind closed doors. Then came one chapter involving their son that deeply moved fans everywhere. What should have been a joyful season instead became one marked by concern. Followers of the family began noticing changes. Some pointed out emotional posts. Others focused on moments where the usually energetic family seemed more subdued. Speculation spread quickly online. People wanted answers. Was something wrong? Were the Gaines family facing a crisis they were trying to hide? As rumors grew, many fans became especially concerned about one of Chip and Joanna's sons. Supporters who had followed the family for years felt personally connected to the children they had watched grow up from afar. Though the family always tried to protect their kids from too much public attention, concern continued to build. The truth was less about headlines and more about something many families experience, but rarely discuss openly: the pain of watching a child struggle through a difficult season of life. Chip Gaines has often spoken about wanting his children to grow up strong, grounded, and prepared for the real world. Unlike many celebrity families, Chip and Joanna tried to raise their kids with structure, values, and a sense of normal life despite fame surrounding them. They encouraged outdoor play, responsibility, hard work, and staying connected as a family. But even in the most loving homes, children face challenges no parent can fully prevent. As one of their sons grew older, fans began noticing he seemed to be entering a more difficult stage. Growing up in the public eye is complicated. Children of famous parents often deal with pressure others never see. They may feel expectations to be perfect, pressure to match the success of their parents, or frustration over living under constant curiosity from strangers. For a child, that can become emotionally exhausting. Those close to the Gaines family described them as deeply protective parents, who always placed family before fame. That made the difficult season even more painful. Instead of sharing every private detail publicly, they chose silence. And sometimes, silence creates even more speculation. Fans noticed the couple posting messages about patience, prayer, growth, and trusting difficult seasons. Though names were rarely mentioned, many believe those messages reflected struggles happening inside their home. To outsiders, it may have looked mysterious, but to many parents, it looked familiar. Sometimes a child enters a stage where emotions run high, confidence drops, identity questions grow stronger, friendships become unstable. The pressures of school, social comparison, and personal change can become overwhelming. Parents who once solved every problem suddenly realize they cannot fix everything with one conversation. That can be heartbreaking. For Joanna Gaines, family has always been the center of everything she built. Her businesses, books, and shows often reflected comfort, connection, and home. So watching one of her children hurt emotionally would have struck at the deepest part of who she is. For Chip, known for humor and energy, the challenge may have been learning that positivity alone cannot always erase pain. Some battles require time, listening, and presence more than solutions. Sources close to the family suggested that the difficult season led to changes in household priorities. Work schedules were adjusted. Family time became more intentional. Public appearances were reduced. The Gaines family seemed focused on something more important than business expansion or media attention: helping their child heal. That decision resonated strongly with fans. Many parents know the fear that comes when a child begins withdrawing, struggling emotionally, or carrying burdens they cannot explain. It is one thing to face hardship yourself. It is another to watch your child go through it. That kind of pain often feels worse. Thousands of supporters shared messages about their own children's struggles with anxiety, confidence, bullying, identity issues, or growing pains. In an unexpected way, the Gaines family's silence opened space for others to speak. People realized even families who appear perfect still face real-life challenges. As months passed, subtle signs suggested progress. Family photos felt lighter. Smiles returned. The couple spoke more openly about seasons of growth and how hard times can shape stronger futures. Though they still protected their child's privacy, many believed healing had begun. And perhaps that privacy was the greatest lesson of all. In a world where every struggle is often turned into content, Chip and Joanna chose something rare. They chose to protect their son rather than satisfy curiosity. They accepted rumors, questions, and misunderstanding in exchange for giving their child room to recover privately. That choice earned deep respect. It also reminded fans that tragedy does not always mean loss in the most dramatic sense. Sometimes, tragedy is quieter. It is the pain of seeing your child suffer. It is the helplessness of not being able to carry their burden for them. It is the sleepless nights, difficult talks, tears behind closed doors, and prayers whispered when no one is watching. Those moments never trend online the way scandals do, but they are real. The Gaines family's emotional chapter touched so many people because it reflected a universal truth. No amount of success protects a family from pain. Money cannot remove worry. Fame cannot guarantee peace. Beautiful homes do not prevent heartbreak. Every family carries battles others cannot see. For Chip and Joanna, this season seemed to reshape priorities once again. Success mattered less than presence. Business mattered less than family stability. Public image mattered less than the emotional health of their child. And in many ways, that may have been their strongest moment as parents. By standing close, staying patient, and refusing to exploit private pain for public sympathy, they showed what love often looks like in real life. Not dramatic speeches, but steady support during hard seasons. Fans who once admired them for renovating houses began admiring them for something far deeper. They were trying to hold their family together when one of their children needed them most. As time moved forward, many supporters continued wondering what truly happened inside the Gaines household during that emotional chapter. Chip Gaines and Joanna Gaines never turned the situation into headlines, and that silence only deepened public curiosity. But for many parents watching from afar, the message was already clear. Something serious had shaken the family, and they had chosen to face it privately. That decision stood out in an era when many public figures share every detail of their personal lives. The Gaines family took the opposite path. They stepped back, protected their son, and focused on healing rather than attention. For fans, that restraint was powerful. Children often go through seasons that outsiders misunderstand. A teenager becoming quiet may be called rude when they are actually overwhelmed. A child acting distant may seem rebellious when they are really hurting. A once cheerful personality may suddenly change because of pressures they do not know how to express. Parents notice these shifts long before anyone else does. It is likely that Chip and Joanna recognized those signs and understood they needed more than quick fixes. Real healing usually requires time, patience, trust, and a safe home environment. It requires parents to listen without judgment and remain steady even when answers are unclear. That kind of support is exhausting. Many fans who had once seen Chip Gaines as the playful risk-taker began seeing another side of him, a father carrying concern he could not joke away. His public personality was built on energy and confidence, yet difficult family moments often humble even the strongest people. For Joanna, the emotional weight may have been just as heavy. Joanna Gaines built her brand around warmth, peace, and creating spaces where people feel safe. But when your own child is struggling, No perfectly designed room can solve what hurts inside them. That reality likely changed the rhythm of daily life in their home. Schedules may have become less important than conversations. Business meetings may have mattered less than being present after school. Plans may have been canceled simply because a child needed parents nearby. Those choices rarely make headlines, yet they define strong families. Supporters online became emotional because they recognized themselves in the story. Some remembered nights spent worrying over their own children. Others knew the helpless feeling of watching a son lose confidence, battle anxiety, withdraw socially, or carry pain they would not explain. The Gaines family's private struggle became relatable, not because people knew every detail, but because they knew the feeling. There is a unique heartbreak in parenting. When you suffer, you endure it yourself. When your child suffers, you would take their pain instantly if you could, but you cannot. You can only stand beside them and hope your love is enough to help them through. That helplessness breaks many parents emotionally. As months passed, followers noticed subtle changes. Family moments looked more natural again. The heaviness many once sensed seemed lighter. Smiles returned more often. The children appeared more relaxed. Nothing dramatic was announced, but many believed the hardest season had begun to pass. Sometimes healing does not arrive with statements or announcements. Sometimes it looks like laughter returning to a dinner table. Sometimes it looks like a child speaking more again. Sometimes it looks like peace slowly entering a home that had been carrying tension for too long. For Chip and Joanna, that period may have reminded them that all their success meant little compared to the well-being of their children. Television fame, best-selling books, expanding businesses, and public praise could never replace stability at home. Many fans said this chapter made them respect the couple more than ever. Not because they were famous, not because they were successful, but because they handled pain like real parents. They did not use their son's struggle for sympathy clicks. They did not release dramatic interviews. They did not turn private pain into marketing. They chose dignity, boundaries, and protection. That is rare. In modern culture, people often confuse visibility with honesty. But true love is not always loud. Sometimes love is quiet. Sometimes it looks like canceled plans, difficult conversations, tears no one sees, therapy appointments, long drives, patient listening, and showing up every day without applause. That kind of love often saves families. The story also reminded many viewers that children of successful parents are still children. They are not immune to insecurity, loneliness, pressure, or emotional pain. Growing up around fame can create burdens most people never consider. Expectations become heavier. Privacy becomes smaller. Mistakes feel larger. Even privileged lives can feel complicated from the inside. If anything, this emotional chapter humanized the Gaines family. For years, people viewed them as the polished example of a perfect household. But perfection is never real. Every family has seasons of fear. Every home has moments of uncertainty. Every parent eventually faces something they feel unprepared for. That truth connected people to them more deeply than any television show ever could. Today, the family appears stronger, wiser, and more intentional. Their children continue growing, their businesses continue moving forward, and their public image remains positive. Yet those who followed the story understand something deeper now. Behind the smiling photos is a family that has fought battles quietly. Behind the success is a couple that has had to choose love over image. Behind the brand is a mother and father who know what it feels like to worry for a child. And perhaps that is why fans were left so emotional. Because the story was never really about celebrity gossip. It was about parenthood. It was about pain. It was about the silent tragedies families endure every day without cameras present. For Chip Gaines and Joanna Gaines, the most important house they ever worked on was never one shown on television. It was the home they protected when their son needed them most. And in the end, That may be their greatest success of all.